Hey there gamers, this is Professor Mifa Oak here, and this is The Secrets of the Lost Tomb. That's right, this is The Secrets of the Lost Tomb by Everything Epic. Now please keep in mind this is an upcoming project. It is actually live now, the link will be down below, but this is on GameFound. And this is a paid preview. Now we will get into that in just a second, but as I said, this campaign is on GameFound, and this is their 10-year anniversary. So The Secrets of the Lost Tomb is a game that already currently exists, and this campaign is going to be giving it a revamp, giving it quite an overlook on different things. And just to show you here, the demo copy that I have available was not everything that was going to be coming with the game. Now the publisher did reach out to us. This was an issue with timing for getting the campaign ready and being able to ship components, but not everything is here, specifically tokens and things like that. So usually for a preview, I will walk you through the board and show you different things. Now there is a lot I can show you, and the most exciting thing is I'll be able to show you all of the main gameplay and things like that to know exactly how the game will play for you. But as far as different tokens and things like that, they're not quite set up for you the way it should be. So I didn't really set up this area how you would typically play. Usually you would have a bunch of tiles that will open up into a map for you where you need quite a bit more area to be having these different tiles flip over onto the board. As you can see here, it is a stack of quite a few tiles, so you need much more room than this. So this is not indicative of what the gameplay would look like on your table. You would need a bit more room with each player on their own side. You would be playing your cards to the side of your tableau here, and there are also different decks. Here are the decks that would be spread out for you to see what's available. Now I will be going over the cards and showing you what they would be, but again, this is not how the table would be set up whatsoever. There are monsters here just for you to see what they look like. There are cards here spread out just for you to see what they are. This is not a fully set up game for how you would normally see it, but it will show you everything that's in the game, and I quite enjoyed this one, so I think that you will too. Now, in Secrets of the Lost Tomb, players will choose a player to play as, and they will play it cooperatively through a map that is unfolding ahead of them to go through a specific. So during the adventurer phase, every adventurer will have 6 different action tokens that they will be able to use, so it is really thinky in that sense that I enjoy that you are limited to your 6 action, and you will use that to kind of determine how you'll get through this entire scenario. Now let's take a look at what the adventurers do for you, because I think that's the most exciting, is who you are going to be playing as. So if we're taking a look here at Heidi, who seems to be our Cthulhu-esque magic caster, she will have her adventurer sheet which lists her attributes. Now the attributes are here listed for you, but it would be their strength, dexterity, mythos, knowledge, and movement. Now there are other things that they'll also have, such as their health, their courage, and their audacity. And those are different attributes that they'll be spending almost as if it's a resource in the game, but these other attributes will be used to determine different checks and balances that you'll be making throughout the game. Whoops! Based on the scenario. Now each character will play a little bit differently depending on what attributes you are stronger in, such as your strength, dexterity, mythos, and knowledge. As you can imagine, in a world like this, someone who is strong in mythos will be good at spellcasting, whereas someone who is good at strength will be good at being strong. Now your other things will help everybody where it's a similar attribute that everyone has, such as health. You know that you need health. Audacity we will get into that does a lot of things for you throughout the game, and there is also courage. So audacity and courage are 2 tracks that you'll be using throughout the game on top of health that will be managing how your character will play and how they will be able to. Now to look more at the board and what you'll be playing through, again, this will be spread out much larger when you're actually playing and would not be this crammed. It's just giving you an example of what it would look like so you're able to see. But you can see that we have this tunnelway and we have different entrances to walk through. Now players will have their movement. So for example, we have our alligator McPhee here, and I'll flip this down for you so you can see that Heidi is also here up in the second room. But if McPhee is going to move, he could spend a movement to then move his movement attribute. Now I don't have it locked in here, but let's say that he was currently at 3, he would be able to move 3 spots. Now as soon as you uncover a new tile, your movement will immediately stop, so even if he chose to just go 1 and then 2, he would stop in this room, which is what we'll have him do. Now he is currently in the 1st level, so you can see that the tiles here have different numbers on them for the tile levels. So for example, this tile would only be able to be placed on the 1st and 2nd level, but we are all set here because this is our 1st level. So we would then flip this over, and we have Davy Jones' locker. Now Davy Jones' locker is going to be placed here, And then Alligator McPhee is going to be able to carry out any other actions while uncovering this room. Now, it's no coincidence that we drove Davy Jones' locker. I just thought that would be a very fun one for us to take a look at. So let's see exactly what the rooms would be doing. Now, if you are looking at the room, you can see that it is at Davy Jones' locker, and then you are able to see that you need to orient it specific ways so that you are able to have the room continue. So we had this doorway open up into this doorway, and then there are different things that would happen with the room. Now, each room tile will also have a crossbones, or they will have a compass on it, and those will mean different things, that you will have encounters that happen, and they're either going to be adventures or misadventures. So you can see here that we have the draw deck, and there's a double-sided card to keep it secret for you so that you don't know what's going to be drawn from the top, but there are adventures and misadventures. Now, we drew the crossbones, so we would have a misadventure, in which case, let's see what would happen. I guess we should draw the next one instead and not what's currently out. So for this misadventure, in the blackness, you make out a female form chained to a conveyor belt, slowly pulling her into a spiked wheel. Within seconds, she will become ground beef. I am frantic. You look for something to stop the machine with. I'm sorry, I am actually frantic. So you'll see here that you will make a test. Now, this test is currently for your strength, so you would roll for your strength attributes. Now, we didn't go over dice. I'll do that in a second, but I want to resolve this card first just because this is what we're explaining. But if you succeed, you will read the top part, and if you fail, you'll read the bottom. So let's go ahead and read what happens, although I'm pretty sure if we fail, it's not going to be good. Okay, so saying we succeed, you find a huge metal bar on the ground and jam it into the huge conveyor gear. Pressing down on the bar with all your might, you halt the gears, which let out a deafening grinding noise. She is very grateful. +1 ally of female gender. Or, if you fail, you find a metal bar nearby, but you're not strong enough to lift it. You try to find another way to stop it, but fail. This is madness. And then, okay, so then you're actually able to test knowledge on top of that. You can test knowledge, and if you pass, you find the release lever and save her. And then you get +1 ally with female gender. But if you fail, ground beef. It just says ground beef. That's pretty scary. So let's go through an adventure as well, and then I'll go through dice checks with you to explain what that will be like. But let's have something a little bit better happen. So if it was an adventure, this room sounds like a jungle, but it doesn't look like one. How could that be? You begin to investigate, looking all around. You find a secret opening in the wall. You follow the winding pathway to a strange underground cavern. Now, this one is interesting. As you can see, it tests your audacity instead, which again we will get to. But if you do pass, it says, as you explore the strange jungle cave, you hear some rustling. From your hiding place, you actually find a live brontosaurus eating leaves. Careful as you are, you step on a twig. Stampede! You run through the passage, narrowly avoiding a trampling. Phew! And then you'll be able to go up 2 on your audacity. Or, if you fail, you walk for a long time in this jungle cave, and then you're able to make an additional test for your dexterity. If you pass, clever, you see live velociraptors around 100 yards away. You quietly go back the way you came, and then you'll add +2 to your courage. Or, fail. You see live velociraptors, which chase you back to the passage. Phew, you made it. -1 damage. So they took a little nibble off of you. So those are examples of the adventures and misadventures, but let's talk about the dice checks. Now, this is another time I would like to remind you that this is a demo copy and everything is preview components, and these are actually my dice. So there are beautiful 12-sided dice. Please check out the campaign page. You'll be able to see what these dice look like. But they're 12-sided die that are duplicated on each side, so it's basically 2d6s. And the 1s are fails, and a 5 would be a success, a 6 is a critical success, and everything else doesn't matter. You should have tried harder. I mean, there are different things that will add to your dice rolls and different things that can make other values matter, but you're basically trying to roll a 5 or 6. So you would have 1d12, this would be 1 roll, and you would be able to, let's see, that would be, we completely failed. However, you will have your different attributes, so you'll be rolling much more dice than just 1. You'll have these different areas filled in, and that, for example, our strength could be a 4, and then all of a sudden we are rolling much more dice. and we have many more opportunities for successes. Now again, I'm not going to go through complete rounds of combat for you. There are different videos that are on their campaign page that can show things like that with the right amount of dice and stuff like that. I was able to play through this on my own time, but I think for a demo version, it is just not the best experience for you, and the thing to tell you now is just how the game feels and plays and what is most exciting about it. So, these players that I went over are going to be taking those 6 actions, moving throughout these different areas, unlocking different things. Now, you are definitely looking for different things to progress the game, but you are also trying to fight different monsters that will be uncovered throughout the board. Now, in the game, there are 3 different types of creatures. There are base creatures, elite creatures, and boss creatures. Now, the boss creatures are going to be the big baddies that you're fighting at the end of the game. When we look at the card's anatomy, that's the example I will show you just because the cards are a bit bigger. But know that during the majority of the game, you'll be fighting against basic and elite monsters. Now there's another type of creature known as swarm creatures, and they fight in herds. It can be very, very devastating. Think of something like zombies or a raptor pack. They can also attack you, but for now we are going to look at just these 3 basic types. Now we will look at these cards up close if you'd like to see what the statistics look like for a basic and elite monster, but for now we're going to take a look at the boss, and we have our Kraken here, and now I will go over the different attributes of the card. I have to say once again, I did cherry pick the Kraken for us to take a look at. There are a few others. The Wendigo is also another favorite of mine. I think one of the things that makes this game very charming is that it has a lot of flavor and lore without it being something that's too overdone, such as something like specifically just Cthulhu. It has a lot of Cthulhu in here. It also has other things that are specific to more adventure style things, such as Indiana Jones, or there are different liches, things like that you'll be fighting against. So it definitely is quite a cast of things between the players that you're playing as, the enemies that you're fighting against, the different items that you have access to. It's just fun seeing all of these lores mixed together that you really do feel like an adventurer of different cultures. Alright, so taking a look at the Kraken card, you can see the creature's name. You can see their movement, their courage attack, their combat rating, their armor, health, evasion difficulty, and soul shards. So we'll go through those, but I wanted you to have a chance to be able to see the card up close before I start going through what those different attributes will mean for the Kraken. So when looking at what all of that means, he'll be able to move around the board at a certain amount, which I think makes the most sense. But then he'll also have his different courage, his attack rating, his shield, which is how much he'll be able to shield for, his evasion difficulty, and then his shards. Now, shards are what you gain when you get for knocking out the creature after you are able to get all of their health, but they will have different evasions that you will need to evade these creatures every round as well to be able to get past them and survive. Alright, so speaking of combat, you are able to attempt to evade them, but that is only during the tomb phase, which we'll get to the different phases in a second, but before that we will focus on the different things that you're able to do during combat, which could be also during the main adventure phase with your 6 actions that you have available to you. Now you will lose courage. The first time that you combat a creature, you will lose courage equal to the creature's courage attack. After a creature causes an adventurer to lose courage, the creature cannot cause the same adventurer to lose courage again. So you will take that loss of being scared of seeing the creature, not being sure what's going to happen, and then after that you're able to stay in front of them and continue fighting, but any new creatures will cause you to lose additional courage. Now there are ways to gain courage back, but it is an important resource for you to be able to have available for you throughout the game. Now weapons and armor will also affect combat, as you would expect. So weapons will add to your damage that you're able to do, and your armor, as you would expect, will be able to add to the shield that you're able to add to your character. Now, once you add up all of the different attributes that are adding to this, as well as your companions, you'll roll a combat check. First, you'll build the dice pool for the combat check with the 3 sources. First, the checked attribute of your weapon or weapons, the combat bonuses of your weapons and other items, and the outnumber bonus. The outnumber bonus is a mechanic that I also thought was very fun, especially in an adventure that's like this, where you're playing co-op in a scenario together. But an outnumber bonus is when a creature is outnumbered, as you would expect from the different adventures, you're able to roll an additional die based on how many extra adventurers you have. So if you have 2 extra friends with you ganging up on a monster, you're rolling 2 extra die for the toughness that they're able to add, and probably distraction. Alright, so after all of that, you'll roll your different d12s, and then you'll resolve the damage and criticals. So you will first take your base defense and then add your armor items, if any, to get your final defense, and then determine how much damage is done. Alright, so after all of that, you will resolve the damage and the criticals. So first you'll check to see if you take damage. You'll add all of your successes and critical successes to get your base defense, then add your armor from any items, if any, to get your final defense. After that, you'll calculate all of your own damage. So first you'll add up all of your dice besides your criticals, and then subtract the creature's armor. After you subtract their armor, you'll be able to add your critical to that and determine the full damage that you'll be able to do and deal the damage to the monster. Now, as I did say, they have a soul shard value as well at the very bottom. So once you do finally kill the different creatures, the person who did the final killing blow will gain that many soul shards. Now, a lot of what I've been explaining is through the adventurer phase. Now, as I said, each player will have their 6 actions and there are 6 different rounds, but there is an adventure phase and then a tomb phase that will happen. Now, when you're setting up the game, you'll be able to determine your difficulty, and that will be the different tomb cards that you have shuffled together for play throughout the game. Now, there are red cards and green cards, and if you want an easy game, you'll play with green. If you want a hard game, you'll play with red. And if you want a medium game, you just shuffle these guys together and play with both and see what you draw. You could draw everything bad, you could draw everything good, but that's what randomness is, and I hope you draw everything good. I hope you have that kind of a day. But let's take a look at what these tomb cards do and how those will play for the end phase of each round. Now, every tomb phase, the expedition leader, who is the first player, will draw a tomb card and follow the instructions in order. The card will walk you right through it, but for example, we are reading through Feeling Exposed. So first you will trigger the tomb effect. This one is that all adventure armor does not prevent damage this tomb phase, which makes your armor just a little bit weaker right now. You are definitely feeling a little bit more vulnerable. Then you'll go on to the move creatures phase. You'll move them based on the rules that you have for creature movement. I'm not going to get into that as we don't have them set up on the board, but please keep that in mind. The main thing that you need to know is that the creatures will move around the different rooms during the tomb phase and be able to attack players, so it is strategic to make sure that you are not landing in a place that you would be attacked if that's something that's important to you during that round. Sometimes it's something that you'll allow to happen because you want to be moved to a certain area, but sometimes it's something that you'll want to prevent in case you might die. Alright, returning through the card, after you move the creatures will then go into combat. Their combat rounds are the same as our combat rounds, except you'll be able to roll to see if you can evade them first. You may or may not be able to do it, but you will have the option to evade the creature before they attack you. You'll then spawn creatures, depending on the level of the areas. And then you will go through upkeep, which will allow you to check status effects, items, dexterity weapons, creatures, and scenario-triggered effects. You will rotate the search token, and then move the comment track and check for the end of the game and refer to the scenario for what may or may not determine that. So as you can see, there will be a pace of play back and forth where players will be using their different actions to explore as much as they're able to do while protecting their own health to make sure that they don't die, attacking different creatures, and moving through the different scenarios. They'll be balancing that with their actions and then resetting to the tomb phase, where they will then be attacked and a bit more vulnerable before they can then use their further actions to progress in the scenario. Now, one other thing that I didn't talk about is that each scenario will have specific rules that are a little bit different that will progress you throughout the game. So depending on what scenario you'll be doing, you'll be trying to play for different cards and looking for certain different things, and then you will know that you're getting closer to the end of the scenario. Now, when you're playing these specific scenarios, it will affect many different things, such as the starting tiles that you use, different items that may or may not be available or pulled from the deck. It will also have you play with special rules and different scenario-triggered effects that will happen throughout all of the scenarios. It will have different win conditions and lose conditions for players, which will affect the way that you are approaching the puzzle differently in each scenario, especially in a cooperative sense. In my opinion, as someone who plays a lot of scenario-based games, I thought this was very charming. I did enjoy the tile-laying aspect, and I also had a lot of fun with my player boards and playing with my different attributes that you're able to use. I also really like dice checks for different things. It's just something that I enjoy doing, so this is a very familiar system that I felt was intuitive and played through very well. Now, before we go, there's one other thing I want to show you, is just the different lore and flavor throughout the game. So now you saw Davy Jones' locker. Other rooms and tiles that you'll be able to see are the Dart Trap, the Labors of Hercules. So you can see that that's more of a, Greek theme. the Sword in the Stone, which is a bit more Arthurian. We have the Catacomb of the Crusades, which is very Indiana Jones. We have the Armory, which is, you know, everyone ever, but it's probably my favorite room. And we have Leif Erikson's Grotto. Now, I could keep going, but please check out their campaign page, as they have a bunch of things like this that they can show off to show the different worlds that they explore with this. But before we leave that, I also wanted to show you the different items that you're able to get. Here is a weapon that you would be able to use throughout the game, but you can see that you were able to get Excalibur. You're also able to get things like Aladdin's Lamp, the Franklin Keystone, the Staff of Ra, the Cowl of Anubis. So you can see that all of the lore is very different with the different things that you're able to get. There's the Masamune, the Deathbringer, the Seal of Solomon, the Amulet of Lin, the Elder Sign. So I really enjoyed that it takes a world where there is lore and artifacts and different magically powered things, and all of the baddies that you have to fight along with that, such as Cthulhu or mummies and things like that, and it puts all of these adventurers together to find the best way through the scenario. Now, one other thing that I left out that I didn't go over is that all of these different characters will have different abilities that they can also use to help them throughout the game. So, for example, Heidi has access to her PhD ability, which, as a free action, she can remove one ability token to reroll any upkeep check, which is a great ability for her to have. But for a different example, Alligator McPhee has an ongoing ability that's not a knife. When using a machete, all creatures get -2 against you, and you can see that he starts with 2 machetes, so he already starts off a bit better against all of the creatures, which makes him a tank to fight with. Now, this has been a preview of the Secrets of the Lost Tomb. As a reminder, this is their 10th anniversary edition, which is launching on GameFound. The link to the campaign will be down below, and as a reminder, all of these components were either demo or not exactly the specific components, so please check out the campaign page to see how beautiful the different things can be, especially the 12-sided dice, which I very enjoy. Thank you to Everything Epic for sponsoring this video, and thank you all for watching. I'm Professor Mifa, and I will see you later. Bye!